but people will join. They'll see it.
Okay.
And they're online. Welcome to the call. Welcome to the YouTube call. This is an impromptu live feed. I want to do a few more of these this week, but this is Brian. I'm here with Ray, and Ray's in our week-long program. The week-long intensive we've been doing for we got 9 guys in there. They're doing actually pretty much 2 weeks long.
Right. Yeah.
And they're getting massive amount of work in, massive amount of changes. I saw some huge changes in them today. And I wanted to invite Ray in to talk about his experience. Later in the week, I want to get somebody else in. I got a couple people in mind. Maybe I'll get a few of them in. Maybe we'll get a few models in. I'd also like to get a few of the models that are working with the clients too, for some of the women. And just talk to everybody about their experience. So welcome to the call if you're out there. We've got 9 of you on. Since this is impromptu, that's not too bad. And the number's growing, already up to 14. And Ray, how you doing tonight?
Definitely better than earlier today. Yeah.
Yeah, Ray. By the way, Andrew, if the audio's off, let us know. I think we're doing pretty good. But really quick before I jump, good for you?
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
Awesome. Okay. Now, anybody that's on the call that's listening right now, if you're hearing us and everything's good, just put a quick comment in the chat. Let me know you can hear me. Okay. Let's close this so I can see you guys. You do great work. Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate it. I can hear you guys. Awesome. So as I said before, some of you didn't hear it. Ray is in our week-long program. The week-long is going on right now. We're 4 days in.
Yeah, 4 days.
4 days in. And he's been going through a lot. He's been about 5 hours a day of working with different models. Then he's out in the field all afternoon, comes back. We break down videos. We do a lot of social exercises. A lot of stuff to get you more embodied and more in your nervous system. And he's been going through a lot. It's a lot of ups and downs. These guys go through a lot of emotions, a lot of heavy emotions. And then when they release them, they tend to have breakthroughs and shifts where they begin to see how they've been pushing women away. Because ultimately, all you guys that are having trouble with women are pushing women away because you're designed to attract women. Men are designed to attract women. Women are designed to attract men for the most part. So as you start to see that and start to break it down, start to surrender that, and you start to see how you're saying stay back and start to let them in, you start to get better and better responses naturally. You don't have to come up with creative things to say anymore. You just, who you're being, it starts to change. So with that said, being 4 days in, what's your experience so far? What do you want to say? What do you want to say to the guys out there right now?
Yeah, definitely exactly what you just said. The being in your head and trying to figure out, get the right answer, it doesn't work at all. Just blow it after blow until finally you get into your body and you speak authentically from there and say, this is who I am, this is who I'm being. Then it starts to hit a level that you haven't seen before. Because before you'd be like, oh, I'm in my head, this and that, this is the right thing, I gotta say this and that. No, I mean, it might work once or twice, but it's potentially not gonna go anywhere until you finally start to really feel yourself and really feel the other person as well. That's money. That's when it starts to.
Okay, so today you were having that experience. You were first in the classroom, but then when you were out meeting women, you started to have this experience of connecting with women better. What was that like?
At first, it was more that heady energy, trying to connect, right? And when I was trying, it didn't really go anywhere. It wasn't anything positive, or I wouldn't really. In fact, I would even come out heavy because I was trying until I finally surrendered to what I was feeling and started showing up in that. Then I would start getting solid responses, and that's when that the shift would happen.
Okay, for everybody out there that's got probably a couple questions, we're going to take a few questions before he goes back, and it's going to be a short call, maybe 30 minutes. I tend to do an hour and a half, as you guys know. What is the difference between trying and really communicating for those out there that are saying, well, how do I do if I don't try?
Okay. The trying is more let me get somewhere without actually feeling it. When you actually relax that trying, see what's under there and actually feel that. If you can let the other person see that, they will connect. It's like
So when you say relax the trying, you're saying, what are you saying? You're saying getting under the trying is what you said, right?
mhm.
And so what's typically under the trying when you relax it?
Well, for me, it was like this heavy wanting, this loneliness, neediness.
Uh-huh.
So
So you're going into this feeling of, I want to talk to you to compensate for loneliness. Like if I get
Exactly.
you, I won't be lonely. So I'm going to try to get you, which then
Exactly.
pushes her away.
Yeah.
So do you guys see this? This is what we're talking about. If I was trying with him, it would be like, hi, hey, I just, what's your name? Where are you from? And there's a want in that energy. Okay.
There's like more, my instinct or response is to like back away, that this guy's not safe.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then you drop the trying, and what happens? You hit this sadness that you didn't want to feel. That's what you were trying to get rid of.
Yeah.
So then what'd you do with that?
I had this amazing connection with this girl that was walking by.
From the sadness?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I got like into my heart and I got vulnerable and I let her really see how much she affected me. And she was like, so, oh, hi. And like, as we were walking, she was like looking back, like, like continue the conversation or whatever.
Is this the Russian girl you were just telling me?
This is another girl.
Oh, a different girl. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay.
Yeah.
And keep going.
The Russian girl, that's when that was the last girl I talked to. And that was like when I was really in my body and like, I'm here. Like I walked up to them, like I'm here. Like I'm showing up. Who are you? And like type of energy. And it was
What were you
awesome.
feeling at that time? What was your emotional state at that time?
My emotional state was more of like this calm strength in my body. And
So you weren't feeling sad anymore.
no, I don't think I was feeling sad at the time, but I was like, I'm gonna show up in this. Like whatever's here, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna let them see.
That sounds like courage to me.
Yeah.
That's typically courage. It's a penetrating energy. Even though there's sadness there or loneliness there, the courage overrides it and cuts right through it like a knife.
Yeah.
And you say, I don't give a fuck about my sadness.
Mm.
And they feel that.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah. There was moments of that. Yeah. Like if there was sadness or something, I could either choose to wallow in it or just be like, you know what, I'm gonna show up in this, and like you said, that knife, and just like, yeah, I'm here. Like you'll feel the sadness in there, but I'm still connected to the person in front of me.
That's perfect. Okay, so what is the difference? Again, I'm asking the questions I would think they want, and then I'm going to ask them to answer some questions. What's the difference between being sad or lonely and owning it versus being a victim or wallowing in it for you?
Okay, for me, the wallowing in it is like, like this will never resolve itself. Oh my God, this is me. And like you're identifying with it, like almost like this will never change. And to the opposite would be like, yeah, I'm feeling this, and in this moment, I know in the future it'll change. But if it's here, it's here, and I'm gonna stand in it.
Nice. And would you say? And I don't know for sure. I want to get your authentic answer. Before you worked with us, how much, or was there any wallowing or victim versus now?
Definitely. Yeah, there was, before Fearless, there was a times where I feel sad and I would either shove it down or I would, like you said, like wallow in it, and it wouldn't resolve itself. It would just be there. I wouldn't know how to transmute it into something better, or it would just, yeah, and I would stay stuck in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so now what's the difference? Give me that. How are you handling it now? I know you say you're showing up. We talked about courage. Can you just describe it again, or in your words, how you're moving? Like when you catch yourself starting to go into victim or wallowing, what do you do to move into this place where you actually get results? Because a lot of these guys are working on getting results out there. Right. And they're not seeing, just like you, you came here because you were stuck. You didn't know what to do next. The same reason I went and got a coach. I was reading all this great personal growth, guys. I was learning all this stuff, but it wasn't quite working. And I needed somebody to just literally show me. So what's the difference now? Because you just went through this process. You might be able to describe it even better than I can. What it's like for you to go from wallowing, victim, dramatization, to just actually showing up, which turns the women on so much and gets results.
Yeah. It would be actually understanding your own power in the situation. Like when you wallow in this, you basically you don't have your power. You're not have any access to it, and just being open to the idea that you have access to that power in that sadness, and then letting it bubble up and come out, and like feel it, and letting that come out, like instead of like the wallowing would just be like it's like you're in a cycle, and you're just like in that cycle and cycle. Now, yeah, I used to wallow in that shit, and thinking it was actually coming out, but no, I was just like I wasn't acknowledging the pain or whatever, and I wasn't making it like, in a sense, how do I put this? Like I wasn't making it more about the journey that I was going through instead of just like that thick, heavy feeling. I was just like, oh, I'm gonna be heavy and thick for the rest of my life or whatever. Like, woe is me, playing that small victim-y game. And it was tricky sometimes to get out of that. It was like, there's a part of me that felt like consoling, like I felt kind of good to do that instead of actually, you know what, fuck it, let's face this.
Yeah, let's show up. Let's be a man.
Mm.
Because a man's not afraid of his emotions. And actually, fake alphas hide their emotions, repress their emotions, and act confident. Real confident men, and I'm sure you're seeing this now, actually feel all their emotions and show up anyways. They say, fuck it, I can feel everything. I feel my sadness, I feel my joy, I feel my grief, I feel my love. And I'm showing up anyways. None of it's going to stop me. And that's what makes you so damn sexy in the end. Would you agree with that?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
That I have approached women in that, oh, it was horrible, and that I'm trying to stay away from my fear and pain.
So you're trying to repress it? Or,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, and they can feel that, and it just feels weird and awkward, and it just makes it even worse. I remember one time I was at a nightclub, and I was trying to get this girl to come dance with me, like get away from her friends, and in my body I was like, what are you doing? No, don't do that. And the girl was like, stop it. And then like it hit me, and I was like, oh my God. I went to the restroom, and I cried a little because I was like, damn, what the fuck am I doing? Until I've had experiences with the opposite of that, just showing up in that sadness.
So you were she was dancing, you were trying to pull her over to another group?
Just actually to like move her across the dance floor with me.
Okay.
And it was like, I didn't even feel good about doing that. And I was like, shit, what am I doing? And to the opposite of the effect of that, just being in the sadness. And it's funny because I had an experience where I was like sad or whatever, and I was owning it, and somebody that was just like, oh, hey. And I was like, what are you, no, I'm talking right now. And it showed me that even in that sadness, people are still willing to like connect. And see
girls
that.
can fall in love with you in the sadness. They can get turned on. They can get sexual in the sadness. As long as you're owning it and you're being a man about your sadness and you're authentic, it's sexy. When you're being a victim, wallowing or dramatizing your sadness, they get turned off, right? Or over analytical about your sadness. So I just did a video on this. I don't think it's out yet, but it's on those 4 qualities: being analytical, dramatization, wallowing, or victim, and how none of that works. And when you get between all of that and into authentic, real communication, that's when the girls start liking you. It's not about being sad or hurt or angry. That's all great emotions. Those are real. It's about owning those emotions and being authentic. And most of us, we put on a character, we put on a front. Yeah. And then, and we think when we first start doing the work, and I'll get on video and I'll tell you guys, hey, just be real. Well, in this, I did this too in the beginning. You go out and what you think is real still isn't real. So you go out and you start acting dramatic, thinking you're feeling, well, I never usually feel my emotions, so I'm going to feel my emotions. And then what you're really doing is dramatizing your emotions. You haven't learned what real emotion feels like. And then it doesn't work. And then you're like, well, that Brian's wrong. Or the other one is you go out and you try to, I say be courageous. So you try to push down your emotions. That's not what I'm saying either in that, right? And when you find that sweet spot, which is a weird, it's a surrendering of all of that. And it's this place, how would you describe that sweet spot where everything works? Everything works. Where you're authentic, you're real, you're present, and you're not dramatizing, you're not analyzing, you're not victimizing, you're not wallowing. What is that space like? Can you describe it?
Can I describe it? Let me try to. Yeah. It's more like you're just in your body and you're feeling it, like all the little, like I've done a lot of work to feel all the little sections, but almost like this melting of energy, and you're feeling that as you're like moving through the world in a way. And it's like when you're in that space, the world can feel it as well, and it's really cool how things can come together.
How do people respond to you differently from that space? Men, women, everybody, when you're walking down the
They
street.
just like they stop and they'll look at me like, what? And they'll be a little curious, like, who is this guy? What? And like, do I know you or something?
You say the littlest thing and they suddenly give you their full attention, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you speak, they want to listen.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Very potent. So really quick, hold on one sec. Okay, cool. Okay, good. Andrew's answering your questions, guys. We're going to get to your questions in a minute. There's already 55 of you on here. That's awesome. We'll get to your questions in a minute. I do want to take some questions before he's got to get back to class because he ain't done for the day. He's taking a break from class to come over and do this for you guys. So you had what? The last 3 days, you had about 5 hours of model work a day, and you've still got a lot more. And what the model work is when we have women in the room, and there's one woman per guy all day long, and they're doing all kinds of embodiment exercises that we as the coaches are guiding them through with the women to learn to be present, to learn to break rapport, to learn to connect, to let go deeper, to actually set boundaries, to say no to the girls from an authentic place, and to constantly surrender to the drama and everything we just talked about. And then when they start getting good at it, when they start really holding space, then we start using the women to challenge them and push their buttons, push their boundaries, and then have them even become stronger, and then start challenging the women. And they start getting bolder and bolder and bolder throughout the weeks that they do this. And then they take it out into the real world, out here, out in the streets, start talking to strangers, men, women, everybody, beautiful women, and applying the principles they're learning in the real world. And is that an accurate description?
Big time, yeah.
And go ahead.
There's I just reminiscing about the times that I was talking to these girls, and almost like they had boyfriends, but I was almost like they did not reject me. They were like, "Oh, thank you so much." Like kind of the energy, like if I didn't have a boyfriend, I'd give you my number type of feeling.
Yeah, they lean in more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can feel your vulnerability right now. It's awesome. Now, I have a question I want them to understand about the model work. You're not doing role play, are you?
No.
You're doing something different.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can really put into words what you're doing. It's really hard to describe to somebody because they'll automatically picture us doing pickup role play, but we're not. We're not at all. We're not doing pretend scenarios. We're not doing any of that. We're doing very, very subtle stuff that then amplifies the big communication. Is there anything you want to say about that?
I think that's been the game changer big time, because like you can actually see in a container, like the space that we're in for the workshop, like how you respond to women when you're in front of them, what your body does, where do you go in your head, do you go in your body, what places are locked out, what aren't you feeling. And it's really cool to be able to experience that firsthand and know, okay, I'm numb here. Okay, I'm gonna work on that. Okay, I'm in my head. All right, so let me just slow down a bit and feel this person in front of me and this and that. And it's like when you're able to do that in a really like a safe space where you don't freak out, like, am I doing this right? Oh my God, what is this person? And like, no, they're there to really help you with what you're feeling and get more in your body. And when you're able to do that and go out into the real world, it's completely different. It's like, honestly, I've done other pickup stuff, and it's like it doesn't really like work. And then,
well, we're not really doing pickup stuff.
Exactly. No.
What are we doing that's different than pickup? Because I saw right away when I saw pickup, I was like, this just seems wrong to me. And I already had I was a certified hypnotherapist. I had lots of meditative and mindset experience, and when I saw what was going on, had done massive work with codependency before. So I was lucky when I started because I'd done all this work. And I looked at it all and I said, this is all ass backwards and it needs to be changed.
Yeah.
What are we doing that's different? And how does it affect more than just your relationship to women? Because it's really about male empowerment. It's not about getting women. You just happen to get women.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Yeah. The pickup is more like manipulation. Like you're trying to get something instead of this would be like being like, what exactly do you want? And how are you showing up and when you ask for that or when you go for it?
How you being, yeah.
Yeah, instead of, manipulating your way, like trying to like move through the bushes to get what you want instead of showing up like, this is what I want. And then they can either tell you yes or no, but it's up to you to show up in that and stay in that.
Good. Yeah, that's it. I look at it as a lot of the work you're doing with women is almost meditative experiences with the women. That's how and it's like a co-meditation, and you're learning through that co-meditative experience, you're surrendering very, very, very subtle insecurities, doubts, worries, resistances. And in that, you're going from, if the world, Walter Russell once said the world's an electromagnetic universe. And he wrote a book, really cool books all back in the early 1900s. He was an amazing human being. Tesla thought he was a genius. And he said it's an electromagnetic universe. We're pushing and pulling all the time, just like a magnet. And when you're in the lower emotional states, guys, when you're really feeling heavy and you're like, oh, I don't know if this girl likes me, you're not just not doing good with women, you're literally pushing them away, like the backside of a magnet, the part that repels. And they see you and they feel you and they want to get away. That's that repelling part, right? Yeah. And the same thing happens when you reverse the magnet. That's what we're doing. We're learning to reverse the magnet by shifting our vibration. Our vibration is just our emotional state, like from apathy all the way up to courage, acceptance. Then suddenly they start getting more and more. The higher you get on your emotional state, and that means your full embodied emotional state, not your head, not what you think is acceptance, not what you think is courage, not what you think is appreciation or curiosity, but actual emotions through the body. Then the magnet reverses and you start pulling people towards you naturally. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah.
But it doesn't just happen with women. It happens with friends, family members. People want to start being nicer to you on the street, and you go to buy something and people want to suddenly give you an extra item or help you out with things. I don't have had these experiences.
I'll be more like, I remember this one time I was asking for ketchup and I said, can I have another one? And then they're like, oh yeah, sure. No, can I have another one? Just one more. And they're like, okay, you know what? Give me the whole box. And they're like, okay, yeah, sure. Here, I was like the whole box. I was just joking. No, you don't have to.
Yeah, but they just keep giving to you.
Yeah.
I used to get, when I first started practicing this stuff and I was getting really good at it, I get so much free food because I would banter and tease and play with all the girls. I'd flirt with all the girls at the food restaurants I go to. Next thing you know, they give me whole meals for free. You know, this one sushi place I used to go to, all the sushi chefs would just slip me sushi. It got to where I was getting fat because I would go there to buy a couple trays of sushi just so I could eat a little meal. And they're sliding me every day. They're sliding me twice, 3-4 times as much as I would order. And I was like, I got to stop going there because I don't want to be rude to them. I like these people, you know, I'm always joking with them. And they wouldn't charge me for it. They'd make up stuff that's not on the menu. Here, try this out. And I was like, okay. You know, so I literally didn't go there as much. I'd go there, but I like these people. So I go there just to enjoy their company even sometimes too. So really good. So he's killing it. That's the workshop this week. What questions do you guys have for him? Do you have any questions? Let me check the time because we got to get him back to class. Okay, we'll take a couple more minutes. What time did they say to be back? At 8?
I'm actually, I don't think we're going back.
Oh, that's right. Tonight you're off. Okay, so you got a little extra time. Okay, good. Okay, so normally he will be back tomorrow. You'll be back on tomorrow. Yeah, today is you're supposed to actually get rest tonight to get ready for the weekend. So that's the whole idea. Okay, so let's get some questions going. What do we got? Can you explain showing up in a feeling perspective? Like what happens in the body? What do you feel or demonstrate? Do you ask yourself to show up? So I'm assuming he's saying like showing up in front of a woman, showing up and being present for an interaction. What is that? And he's asking, can you explain showing up in a feeling perspective? What happens in the body? Is there anything, what can you share on that?
It's more like you feel sensations in your body and it's not like you're thinking about what to say. You're just like, I'm going to be present. Like the girl will actually feel you feeling that. And then there's like this sense of like, I remember like a little Taffy, like there's like a little connection. Like she wants to move closer to you while you're feeling whatever it is that you're feeling. And it's
So let me reiterate this. You're saying you feel something in your body, and if you're connected or showing up, she feels what you're feeling. So if you're feeling your heart has softening, she feels you soften. You're feeling a little turned on, she feels you get turned on. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then you explain the Taffy thing a little bit for guys that are wondering what that means, because that was a new term you just introduced.
The Taffy. Yeah, it's more like this little. There's this sort of energy that's like you said, the magnet, like this little feeling of your bodies want to move closer to each other, and it's really cool to experience that and feel that while you're feeling your body.
Now, do you remember ever feeling this before Fearless? You probably did at some point in your life, and it probably happened spontaneously. Did it? Do you have any memory of that?
Yeah, I think,
because they probably have had this experience, but it doesn't happen too often. So when it happens, I want to see if any of them can access the memory so they can understand it.
Okay, I remember this one time in high school. I was in class, and I don't know, it was like a gut feeling that this girl liked me. Like she would like look over to me, or she would like be noticing me, and I was just like, I don't know, maybe it's just weird. I don't think so. And so, it'd be like a couple weeks later, I'll tease her on something because she was eating in class when we're not supposed to be eating. I was like, wow, why are you eating in class? She's like, because I want to. You're just a hater. And it was like the energy she gave me was like this fun, playful energy, opposed to other girls that they would just like just be friendly and or just deadpan instead of that. And it was like the sense of like, does she like me or does she? I don't know. There's something there.
So you weren't trusting yourself.
Exactly.
But you felt this pull. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there was like this. What's over here? Why do I want to move this direction? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I want to ask you guys out there, did any of you ever have a memory of maybe you're out at a bar, maybe you're out at a club flirting, and you had this sense of a polarity, this sense of like being in a bubble with somebody where, wow, I feel like I've known you forever. You know, we've just met 10 minutes ago. I feel pulled towards you, or maybe a girl said that to you. That's what we're talking about, being able to cultivate that more and more often till it seems natural, like a normal part of connecting to another human being. Have any of you ever experienced that? Pop that in the chat. I'd love to hear whether you have or haven't. Okay. Do we have another question, Andrew? What's the biggest thing that caused a positive shift that you've learned in the embodiment training? Okay. It happens to me a lot, he said. So good. That means you're doing something right if that happens a lot. A blissful bubble, yes, good. Fabian, hey, what's up, buddy? Good to hear from you. Yeah, hey, guys. Truth, yes. Okay, so we got Truth's question here. We're going to go back to it. What's the biggest thing that caused a positive shift that you've learned in the embodiment training?
Biggest thing would be to stay consistent.
Okay.
Like there's a
now you haven't done energetic embodiment, right?
I have not.
No. So we're talking about the week-long embodiment with women dating version, not the full-blown embodiment. Okay, cool. Keep going.
Yeah. So my first experience was like 2 years ago, and even from then, it's like my life has changed massively. And what I did was just stay consistent with feeling. Like maybe releasing here and there and just feeling just a little bit, even if it's like a little tiny little thing.
It compounds, right?
A big time. It does. And at first you're like, this isn't going to fucking go anywhere. Why am I doing this? And just trusting that process that eventually it will open up. Yeah. And then just staying with that little 1% every day, just for like maybe just like 5 minutes a day. If you could do that, that would be massive for where you could be emotionally. Okay,
like this is a really good point. So I want you guys to hear this. As you started to change in the beginning, you don't feel like much is happening, but you stayed consistent anyways. Mm-hmm. And little things were happening, but nothing big. Yeah. How much is your life changing now as opposed to then?
There's things like I wouldn't have done back then that I'm doing now. Like,
but how much is it changing faster than before? Is it speeding up like a rocket getting into orbit?
Yeah, it's like instant boom, 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 this shows up. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, okay, it's crazy.
Now, the reason that is, do you know the reason that is, that it goes like that?
I guess I'm letting go of the attachment to it happening.
That's a big part.
And I'm just enjoing the process of like, really.
Well, the mind has a certain set of programs that were put in from your family, from childhood, from church, from school. And a lot of those programs are very limiting. Okay.
Yeah.
And you've been literally doing a lot of work over the last period of time, changing all of those beliefs and the way you look at the world. Your whole worldview has been changing. So that is tantamount to all the pulling the weeds and getting all the roots and creating a good soil. You can't really see what's going on in the dirt.
Yeah.
But when all of that dirt is now nutrient dense, there's good soil, you've got good roots, then suddenly the tree sprouts up really fast when you hit that point. So if somebody comes to me and they're really negative and they have a lot of negative worldviews and life views, there's a lot of weeding that has to go on to get them to have the big shifts up here. And so a good example of this would be bamboo. From what I understand, bamboo only shoots up about once every 5 years or so. And in between that time, it's really rooting down. It's building a rooting structure. It's spreading out, getting ready to spring upwards. But you can't see that. All you're doing is every year you're just like, hey, there's that bamboo again. And then one year you come out and it's going like a fucking torpedo straight towards the sky, right? It's the same thing. When we have all this negativity, it's hard to make the shifts we need to make, buried in our subconscious. But when enough of that gets out, changing your life becomes so damn easy. You want to change your life monetarily. You want to change your life with health. You want to change your life with women because you have the right foundational beliefs to make that shift.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm talking about? Are you realizing that looking back?
Yeah. I have glimpses of, holy shit, I'm actually doing this. Like, I would have never thought I'd actually be able to make this happen.
Yeah. How does your overall life view, the way you view the world, life in general, feel different than it used to feel?
There's so much potential there now. It's like, wow, what else can I do if I can make this happen? Where else can I step into more attention? Or there's this idea I have about talking to you earlier about the Barracuda. I've never been drag racing.
Barracuda car, by the way. He owns a Barracuda muscle car and he wants to buy another one.
Yeah. And I had this feeling in my stomach of going to the drag strip and actually like learning how to go through the lights and drive down. And it's like this feeling of, that's the potential for that is there. It's like up to me to
I've done it.
Happen. Yeah.
I used to have I had a Vega. We dropped a 350 in with a Ford 9-inch in the back. Took it to the drag strip. That was when I was young. Yeah, I haven't done that shit in years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that thing would just, the front end was I busted oil pans because it would pop up and slam down, and the next thing you got a leak, and you're like, fuck.
Oh my God.
Because it's really not designed for a V8. It's designed for, the car is designed for a 4-cylinder, right? And you drop a V8 in there and it's a ridiculously light car with this giant motor that, you take to the drag strips. It's like taking, for those of you who don't know what a Vega is, it would be like taking a Civic or something and dropping a V8 in there.
Yeah, and then going to the drag strip and just hauling ass.
Yeah, that was a lot of work. I don't ever want to do that. Okay, let's continue on. What's another question we got? Okay. How can you tell that someone is numb in an area when you're looking from an outside perspective? Ooh, that's a great question. It's a really good question, J. Matt. How can you tell, in your opinion, how do you feel when you look at somebody in the room or you're walking around outside? How can you tell that someone's in apathy or numb when you're out walking around? Whereas like sometimes you walk to a girl that's numb, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, she's heavy. Like she's got some shit going on, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that, what that looks like? I'm quickly looking at the chat, so go ahead and talk for a second. I'm hearing you. I always like to check in with the guys that are on the chat, just make sure you guys are okay, Joshua, this technique is actually addictive because when I do it, I'm that blissful. He's talking about something he probably wrote earlier. Okay, cool. Go for it.
You would feel it in your body. Like when somebody's heart is open, you can actually feel like this warmth and openness in your chest. And when they're heavy, it's like this dead feeling, like there's no aliveness to them. Mm-hmm. Almost like they're kind of sleepwalking, I would say. And they're not really in their body. It's just more like they're just like walking, I guess, instead of like actually like feeling in the way they move.
And so when you run into somebody, let's say, okay, you've seen people move from numb to more alive, right? Have you seen that happen in the room?
Yeah.
Different clients over the time you've been with me?
Yeah.
how does it change the way they physically appear to you? I'm not saying it literally changes their looks, but there's an appearance difference, isn't there?
Yeah.
What happens?
I feel like I want to talk to them more. I want to like be around them more. It's like this like magneticness like to them.
That's the feeling. How do they physically? Do they look this? Do they look? Because when they're heavier, they look one way. When they're lighter,
they just look more alive, like they're awake or something. Like they like there's he is, like as opposed to just like, were you sleeping or not? Yeah,
that's true. And then the one I always think about is a lot of times they look more youthful and young to me.
Yeah.
You take a 60-year-old man and he can feel half dead. But if he gets out of all his apathy and moves up to courage, acceptance, love, peace, suddenly he looks youthful again. Blood comes back to his cheeks. Yeah. Blood starts flowing through his body because he's not tensing up anymore. When you look at Sam, for example, how old does he feel to you?
He's like, it feels like he's around my age. It's just so light and fun to be around. It's not like this guy's old. No, it's like he has a lot of energy and life to him.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Sam is 65, and he's one of our coaches because he's so full of life. Yeah. And he just did a 230 some mile hike through the John Muir Trail by himself with a giant pack on his back for his 65th birthday. And he killed it. He's got pictures, everything, you know. I know a lot of people that are 20, 25 that would probably kill themselves on the trail. Like
I was thinking like, God damn, I don't even think I could do that.
We had 2 bear encounters, I think he said. 2 or 3, I don't remember.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he loved it though. They were black bears, not grizzlies, thank God. But still, Fearless Man is almost a damn Jedi Academy. We're constantly working. The truth is, I had a teacher once, guys. His name was Carl. Man, when I went to Carl, I was really in my head and I was really shut down and I was really unhealthy. And everything was constant mental masturbation for me. I was constantly thinking. Carl had a huge effect on me. We spent 4 years really shifting the way I looked at the world and looked at life and learning to feel my body. His whole everything we did was about feeling his body and feeling my body. Excuse me, that sounded wrong. Feeling my body and learning to be in relationship to the moment, to my body, to the now, from a practical, usable, understandable level. So some of what we say sounds metaphysical, but it's really not, is it? It sounds metaphysical, but then I show you, this is what you're doing. And then you're like, oh, that's all it is. And no wonder when people talk about all this metaphysical shit, it's because they're not making it practical and usable. You know, when we talk about, let's say we talk about the third chakra, for example, that sounds really metaphysical. It's super abstract. Oh, you got a third chakra. It does all this shit. Well, let's look at science. What do we have? We have a gut brain. And in science, if you look up gut as a second brain, you'll see that it has the gut, and the gut lining has all these folds. It has instinctual information stored in it. And this is all science, and it relates and connects to this brain. And there's constant communication coming back from several methods, I believe. And the amount of bacteria and bacterial growth, types of bacteria, all affect how the gut works. And if you take all the bacteria out of a rat's gut, they suddenly are completely antisocial. You put a bunch of healthy bacteria back in, they're suddenly super social. We're the same way. So we could call it the third chakra. We could call it the gut brain. And we could talk about having an embodied relationship to it, which are techniques to develop that. And then to that area of your body. And then you start feeling through that area of your body. And what happens when you start relating? You were talking about it earlier when you walked up to a girl from your head versus dropping into your heart and your gut, not just your heart, because a lot of people try to talk from their heart, like right here. Like I can go up here and be, hi, how you doing? My name's Brian. What's yours? So where are you from today? You know, what are you doing? That's heady. And I can come to the heart where I pop open here. Hey, how you doing? My name's Brian. What's yours? You know, a little more hippy dippy, right? Yeah. Like I could be like, oh, let's go look at some artwork together, man. Let's go check out the view, right? It sounds hippy dippy. I'm kind of playing it up. Yeah. So if you think that, I am. And then there's dropping into the gut, which is a little more, everything goes like this. Yeah. And suddenly you're like, hey, what's up? My name's Brian. What's yours? And there's a more penetrating, power-based energy, which then women go, oh, interesting. The man showed up. Did you have that experience today?
Yeah.
What happened?
So when I was in my head or like in apathy or whatever and playing the victim, the girls would just blow me off one after another until I surrendered into my stomach. and like really felt what was in there, and like this is who I am. This is what I'm here for. As soon as I did that, the girls were just like what? And I was like, what?
So he had both experiences today. You were being blown off today.
Yeah.
And then when you went down and did what we were telling you to do, you had the opposite experience a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not that as you learn this stuff, you're suddenly going to be magic all the time.
Yeah.
But you'll know how to fix it when you're not. You'll see, oh, this is where I'm off, because you got to constantly readjust again, don't you?
Yeah. And it's like I'm getting to the point of conscious competence. I'm really like, okay, this is what I was being unconscious in that last interaction. Let me be conscious of where I'm feeling and where I'm at, so that when I show up, I'm in that spot.
There you go. Nice. Good job, man.
Thank you.
Oh, and this is the one. If you guys who saw Nikki the other day, I had Nikki Hort on the channel. Go back and watch that video if you haven't. She's awesome. She was saying you were one of her favorites in this group. So
yeah,
she's got a little bond going on with you.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, guys, let's take one more question, and then I'm going to let him get some rest for the night, I think. Who's got another question? Let's pop it up.
Super quick one, and then we can maybe do another.
Yeah. Okay. What's the name of the gentleman with the electromagnetic theory? Walter Russell. He wrote a book that I have called I think it's Manual on Cosmic Consciousness. It's right over there. It's a big manual, actually. It's not even a book. I wouldn't start with that. Oh, the Course in Cosmic Consciousness. Here. This is the Course in Cosmic Consciousness. It's a big manual I bought a long time ago, but I wouldn't start with that. He has a really good book called The Man Who Tapped the Secrets of the Universe. He didn't write that. That was written about him. It's a good introduction to Walter Russell. It's written by a man named Glenn Clark. And then, but there's all kinds. If you go to philosophy.org, that whole website is dedicated to his teachings, what he did. He was really successful in life, and he doesn't have a lot of drama, but the list of accomplishments that in his lifetime, like really pretty much blow anybody else away. And I think the only reason he's not world famous is A, he wasn't chasing world fame, and B, he didn't have any drama. There was no he always had money. He was always successful, except when he was young. Once you became matured, everything worked for him. He was an advisor to a president. He brought ice skating to the United States. He was an ice skater himself. He became a world famous bust creator, like statues and busts, painter, musician, real estate, mathematics, science. He wrote books on science that were crazy and insane. His list of accomplishments, that's just a tiny list of the things he did. He was constantly jumping from one area of expertise to another to show people it was easy to become good at anything and anybody could do it. That was his message to the world, was that you can become good at anything. You just have to have passion for it. And he'd switch his passion to different things and then move to the top of the field. And he would do it again. And he would do it again to show it's not a fluke.
Yeah.
And whereas he didn't have all the drama that people like Tesla had, where they had all their money stolen and his life just worked, And so that's one of the reasons I theorize, and my theory could be completely wrong, that he was not as famous as somebody like Tesla. And Tesla and him were good friends. So check out philosophy.org. He's famous for a book called The Divine Iliad. That's it. So you said you wanted to do one more because it was easy. How have you been able to connect to your pelvis? Hey, Ike, what's up, buddy? Good to hear from you. Ike's up. You know Ike. So.
Yeah, from the Fearless group, or the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How have you been able to connect to your pelvis?
Big time. Just, I was really feeling my turn on and like showing it. Like there'll be a girl walking by and then just that'll turn on. I'm like, oh wow, this girl really turns me on.
But now what's the difference when you get turned on now as a girl walks by? What's the difference than what you would do before?
I wouldn't feel turned on. I was just like, oh, I think she's sick. Like maybe there'd be like a little spark, but it wasn't really feeling. I was like,
you were holding it at bay.
Yeah, like shame. And I would go and approach him, and it wouldn't really go anywhere, and I wouldn't really feel that part of me. Uh-huh. And then, as opposed to the opposite of really showing that energy and letting them see, I find you attractive.
Now, we haven't got to Ike's question yet, but for the guys out there that are wondering that maybe aren't part of Fearless, isn't that creepy?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Or I did have an experience where I just felt all that energy, no heart, and I walked up to these girls. They were like, "Oh no, thank you." Like they felt that energy. I was like, "What? Oh, they definitely felt something."
Okay.
And then you know,
what keeps it from being creepy?
having your heart open and like also having them like from your heart, letting them see that I see you as well as a
I see the human part of you as well as the sexy part of you.
Yeah.
And so it's not. So would you agree that it's not? The turn on's a good thing, that it's not a bad thing. Like some guys think I shouldn't be turned on in front of girls. That's not a big deal.
I think that's a disservice to her. Like to not let her know that she is sexy and like also be like open-hearted to her. And if you're like shoving that down, it's like that's a disservice to you and to the girl.
That's a great answer. I like that answer.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to Ike's question. How do you connect to your pelvis? What is it? What's something you do? Because there's a lot of ways to do it.
Before I even when I started the fearless work, what I did was I really listened to heavy metal music, just like in the car, just letting it like and really feel my anger and shame and just burning that up and just really
interesting. I've never heard anybody do this one. This is a new one. I like it.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So heavy metal and just really feeling all my cock and just all that energy just build up and all the shame and sadness in there, just really feeling it out and like and that was slowly like welcome more feeling in there, and using anger to really dive deep in that shame or whatever's in there and letting it come up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Do you have anything else you've done?
Yeah, just constantly, just like where do I feel my cock? Like, do I feel my back and supporting into that energy? Like, what sensations am I feeling right now?
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate practice is really just exploration of the feelings and letting go of the resistance.
Yeah.
And it's a meditative process, and then you start adding movements where you can start to move your pelvis and rock your pelvis.
That opens it up even more.
Yeah, and we have a whole program, a weekend program on that. But there's a lot of courses like if you go out and get energetic. It's a David Data book, Enlightened Sex Manual or Multi-Orgasmic Man Talk Chia. There's a lot of books out there that have programs to help you get into your pelvis. We had a program once that would help. We had to take it down because one of the owners wanted it up. One of the owners wanted it down because he didn't want. Apparently there was a money issue. That's all I can say. So we have to recreate that and put up our own version. So I will do that at some point.
Cool.
Awesome. Awesome. This was awesome having him on the call today. Oh, we're up to 69. See, we didn't even announce this call. We're already up to 69. I want to do some more this week, guys. So if you guys want to see more of these videos, definitely put something in the chat. Let us know. Do you want more students? Do you want some models? Do you want to mix? What would you like to see? Because we've still got to finish this week out. And then we got next week where we're going to be working with students in what we call it the double. There's a week and then an advanced week for people that want to go on. Plus we have models all this week and next week. And I'm going to bring some models over here. I'm probably going to bring one model we want to do some work with and film some videos for the YouTube channel, pre-film that we'll have edited. But I could also bring her on and maybe do some live feeds, or we could bring Nikki back, or we could bring you and Nikki, or we could bring another student or two. Maybe I'll bring a couple students. What do you guys want to see? I would love to hear that. Put that if you're watching this on YouTube, put it in the comments. Mix of models and students. We could do it at the same time. I could do it at separate times, so that's what we're figuring out. Oh, that guy's on here again. He's trolling. Nice. There's a guy on here that comes on. It's something about women's rights is a mistake, and he trolls and stuff like that. So whatever, it's good for him. Oh, you wrote the same thing as last time, dude. I still don't know what that means. Like women be like, I date. I'm gonna market you, dude. I'd be like, I date 6'4" Chad Thundercock for his personality. You wrote that last time, so it's probably just a bot. And because if he's writing the same thing each time, honestly, Andrew, it's probably a bot or something like that. It's probably not a person. So awesome, guys. So we'll be back. I don't know when. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try to put a comment in my story. Go to Brian Bajan on Instagram, like my channel, or the Fearless Man on Instagram, or we'll try to put a story into YouTube and all those places, letting you know when the next webinar will be based on when I can get somebody else in here. And next discussion will be, okay? So kind of watch out for that. I will definitely be doing some, and maybe even tomorrow. I would like to get another one tomorrow, maybe over the weekend. Definitely at least one every other day, if not every day, get back on here. Can't guarantee Andrew will be on here answering your questions every time. It's just if he's available. Because again, we don't know when it is, and I can't demand that Andrew be available 24 hours a day for you guys. But we'll try to get somebody on here answering your questions. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to check the chat one more time, see if you guys wrote anything else. Mix of models. Are you answering questions? Okay. Have some power stand up for. Okay, cool, awesome, guys. It's interesting how many of you get on here, but then it's always a few of you that ask all the questions. So we got to get more of you asking questions and commenting. I know you guys get shy. So with that said, hopefully you guys have a beautiful night. Make sure to comment, make sure to like if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, share if you know somebody that can use this video. And with that said, remember, only the confident really live. See you in the next video. Take care. Have a beautiful night. Do you want to say anything in closing before we close? Don't close it yet.
Yeah, one last thing. The theme of today's workshop was, are you making your goal more important or the stories that come up? And I've used that every time a story comes up. Oh my God, this girl's not going to like me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go for my goal and see what happens.
And how many times have you proved it wrong? Your story wrong?
Every time.
Good job, buddy. Good. That's a good one to end on. Are you making your goal or your story more important? And if you choose the goal, you'll get cut right through that fucking story. Okay, that's good. So I want to thank Ray for being here, by the way, too. So send him some love. Put it on the YouTube channel if you're watching this, and so he can see the comments later. Okay, guys. Now one more time. Remember, only the confident really live. Talk to you in the next video.